Hello, hello, and welcome to this edition of At the Mic, the Friday live stream. So grateful for you spending time hanging out on a Friday or Saturday or whenever you're watching this. I appreciate you making time. My goodness, a lot of stuff in the stack here. Before we get started, though, don't forget worthitorwoke.com/ATM. Head over there. They do all the reviews for you to make sure that you're not going to spend your money on something that sucks and is trying to brainwash you. Don't waste your time on something that is from the pits of hell that is trying to destroy your sensibilities and brainwash you into that crazy woke world. So anyway, they look after movies, TV shows, video games, all sorts of stuff over there. Worthitorwoke.com/ATM. Hope you all will check that stuff out over there. Great people. You know what? Speaking of great people, how's that for an awesome segue? Let me get my guest in here. Daniela Pentsack, thanks so much for
Well,
making time here. I appreciate that a lot.
yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, for those who were with us a week ago for the Friday live stream, when Brad Staggs joined me, Brandon Morse was supposed to be a guest as well. And he had a last minute thing come up where he had to get out of town. And this week, he is sick. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And maybe next time I invite Brandon, we're for our last two attempts. But I do hope that you get to feeling better, Brandon, if you are watching this. So Daniela, it's just you and me today. I want to make sure that people are aware of where they can find you. There's your Twitter handle at Pentsack Daniela. And tell us about your show that you're doing, kind of new, a couple of months now, right?
Yeah.
Rumble.com/Culturama. Tell us about Culturama, Daniela.
Yeah, of course. So Culturama has been going on for about a month now. I believe we hit the 1 month mark. So it's very exciting. And it is through the For Liberty Network with Austin Peterson. He has the Wake Up America show, but he decided to launch his own network. So he has two other shows. And I was one of them he brought on board. And it's been quite a pleasure to do. I didn't realize I would like streaming so much, but on Culturama, which is on Rumble, it streams on X as well. We're also on YouTube and on Twitch. But most of my viewership comes from X and Rumble, and it's streamed every Tuesday and Thursday from 5 to 7 Pacific or 7 to 9 Central. And what I like to talk about is none other than American culture, politics, sociology. I even touch on philosophy sometimes. I try not to be too big brained about it. I will leave all that stuff and my philosophizing to Substack. But in Culturama, what I like to talk about is the present zeitgeist in the United States and the culture that's affecting us. And hopefully, through the conversations that we have, we could perhaps reclaim the culture back from the woke agenda, is what I like to say. So, streams on Rumble, YouTube, X. I hope to see some of you guys there that are watching today.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun time.
Yeah, be sure to go and subscribe. Follow her on X, and then also you've got the Rumble channel there as well. And then, my gosh, you said what? Twitch, YouTube. I mean, you're everywhere.
Yeah.
So be sure to follow her there. Okay, now one of the things I saw, you had a poll. I think you posted this yesterday. And I think this was something that came up on Culturama, and it was a poll that asked, do you own a pet that wears clothes? All right, because
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're considering maybe a product line, right? Something like that.
I am. So on the show, there's this meme, you could say, going on where I like to wheel my dog out, and I have him right here as a
There he
as
is.
a
There's nothing wrong.
example.
There's nothing wrong with using a dog to get clicks. Ain't that right,
Exactly.
Matilda Tanner? Right? So,
Oh yeah, you would have a good idea about
no,
that.
so that's Leo, right?
His name's Leo, and he's kind of like, it's kind of like a circus act, like to bring out, because he is fairly dysgenic. He's a little inbred, but at the end of my show, sometimes if I get enough donations, we call it Leo time. I'll bring Leo out at the end dressed up in something ridiculous. And so last night when I was streaming, I had a huge audience last night, which was great. Well, big for me. And I brought him out, and I saw people really crazy about him. He was wearing a dress at the time. This is his November sweater. You can see the moose on the back. It's Eddie Bauer. So Leo is a man of taste. But anyway, he was wearing clothing, and I thought to myself, well, maybe it would be a good idea to have a little pet clothing line. So I did a poll asking people how many of my audience actually have pets that they have wear clothes. And the thing with Chihuahuas is that they have to wear clothes because they do get cold, especially where I live in the Pacific Northwest. You know, he has to wear these sweaters. But unfortunately, a lot of my audience does not have dogs. They have dogs that wear clothing. So I'm still sitting on the idea, but hopefully down the line, Culturama will have a product line. And for those that don't know, Culturama does have a shop online through the forlibertyshop.com, and it is under the Culturama collection. But we do have like Adidas quality sweatshirts, mugs. They had a face cream made of the show too, which I use. It's actually pretty good. So I was thinking about maybe making more products and having like a dog clothing line, but who knows? We'll see in the future.
Yeah. I will say you're right. Tanner hates, he's a mid-sized dog. He's a mutt. He's all sorts of things, but you can always tell, like when it's brutally cold, you know, he'll leave it on a sweater or something like that. But you know when he's ready to get out of it, when he starts, you know, rolling around on his back and just clearly aggravated. But yeah, Matilda, she could live in a sweater probably all winter if we let her. But all right, well, by the way, I noticed that Leo seems very comfortable. He's really relaxed. Matilda does the same thing. Like, what? How are they so chill when they're held like this?
They're lap dogs. They're meant to be held. He feels good when he's in my arms most of the time. I mean, he could be with my other family members' arms, but it's really in mine that he's you know, he falls asleep and relaxes. So, but they're meant to be like in your arms and your lap all the time, you know.
Yeah. So. Well, he definitely seems comfortable. All right. Well, I tell you what, one of the things I like to do on this show is play animal videos. How's that for a segue? And so I thought, you know what, let's just get right into them. Sometimes I wait, sometimes I do them right up front. I want to do them right up front today. I particularly like this one because it's a cat that's a troublemaker and everything. This is, you know what this is? This is a cat that has spent too much time at the bar and is ready to fight whoever. And then his buddy, the dog, has to come along and be like, all right. I mean, look at this. This is hysterical. There's another cat over there. Look, he just drags him off. I mean, that is hysterical. Like, come on. Because if real quickly on the pan to the right, you see another cat. It's ready to fight. Look at that.
It's ready to fight, no, yeah.
Come on, you drunk.
He's like, no, gotta go home. We've been through this before. Yeah.
I love that. I love
helping his friend out. Good for him. That's what friends are for, though.
That's what friends are for. Let's see here. What else do I have? Okay, so this is cute. I had to turn the sound down though, because I think they put music under it. But this little guy's like, time to get some medicine there at the vet, and does not like to
oh my gosh.
That's most people's
like, what is that? Like a French bulldog puppy? What?
I think that's what that is. Yeah,
it's
I think you're
stubby.
Right. Yeah,
it's like a thumb. Oh my gosh, he has no neck. That's adorable.
Looks like a thumb. Look at this. This is most people's reaction to hard whiskey the first time.
Yeah. It's needed.
It's awesome. What a cutie. Let me sleep.
He just falls asleep right away after taking it.
Yeah.
No, not done.
Yep. I don't know, man. It's I would love to be a vet, you know, but at the same time, I bet there's a lot of heartache there too. So
it's a difficult, same. Yeah. I mean, I love helping animals, but I can't imagine the pain they must go through. It's like you can't be emotional and do that stuff, you know?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And so we went from a puppy to a kitten that's drinking a bottle, and listen to this. Little ears. How cool is that? So chill too. Look at that. That's cute. All right. Let's see here. What else I got for you? Oh, okay. So then I got a dog. I got a dog that's into the vacuum cleaner for like belly rubs and stuff. Look at that.
Okay, that's new. I'm usually terrified of those things.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, Matilda plots a course around the vacuum cleaner. Yeah. So, but this guy is like, yes, please. That's funny.
Well, that's like one of those. It's a lightweight vacuum, you could say. So perhaps,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not as
Doesn't
bad.
seem like a monster. Yeah. I love how he's just like, he won't even let them clean. I mean,
No, his mind is on one thing, and that is on the belly rubs.
yes. Let's see here. Do I have any more? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. So if I, here, let me do this. Let me do this jealous cat. You got to do the jealous cat here. This is because, I mean, look, when you have kids and you interject them into a family where the pets were the baby, some of them just can't. Some of them take right to it, and to having a younger sibling, if you will. But some of them are jealous, and this cat just will not stand for this dad having the baby in its arms there. So, and it's a big cat too. I mean, he's bigger than the baby. Look at this. No. You're holding me too, bro. Are you kidding me?
Oh man, I would be scared of that cat.
Right. The fact that he's entertaining this,
Yeah.
maybe one time for a picture. You ever try that again?
Yeah, no, they need to discipline that cat before it gets any ideas. You know what I mean? Cats can be nasty.
Yeah. So there you go. But look at, I mean, that cat is bigger than that kid.
It's like a Maine Coon. That's a big cat.
Oh yeah, right. Might be okay. So this is me. If I'm an animal, I'm just gonna lay around and be lazy like this for sure. Look at that. He won't even stand up to drink out of the water. That's upside down. I can't be the only kid that used to, as a kid, stand on the couch upside down. Right? Tell me I'm not the only kid.
Stand on the couch upside. You mean like
so
lay
like
down
you get up to the couch and then you just kind of flip over, and so your legs are in the air and you watch TV upside down. Maybe I was special.
I have never done that myself personally.
Okay. Good. Maybe people in the chat have, because
feeling
alone.
Sorry.
Let us see here. What else do I got? I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, so okay. So somebody sent me this video here. If animals looked the way we draw them, and as someone with zero artistic ability whatsoever, I can absolutely relate to this. But here you go. This is let me zoom out a little bit here. This is if animals looked the way we drew them.
Terrifying. Oh my god.
Right? Hold on. Let me rewind. I skipped ahead too fast. Look at this thing. Hang on. Okay. Yep. There we go. So there's a horse in this world. Let's see. Okay, there's another horse. I don't know, man. There's a
generations of inbreeding right there.
It's a cow. There's a dog. Yeah, generations of it. Okay, so the elephant looks a little different. Okay, I see. It's just not quite the same. Oh my.
Close. It's a valid attempt. Okay, that one not so much. There's no beak on that one.
I don't even know what that is. That a llama? What's going on there?
I think that's a llama. I don't even think the people that generated the image could tell either. They probably assumed it was a llama.
Right, because the other ones, they put the actual real animal off in the corner. This one, they were just like, I don't know.
I don't know. Go with it. Giraffe? Well, yeah. Any long neck creature.
That's good stuff there. Okay, let me see here. What else I got for you? Let's do some not so rapid fire questions. Just kind of.
Before you do that, Leo may need to use the restroom. Let me.
Oh no! Bathroom break for Leo. All right, you take your time.
Leo. Sorry, everyone. Leo's got to go.
It's just the reality of the situation. I mean, all right. So when she comes back, we'll go through the not so rapid fire. I'm also interested. I'm going to talk to her about. It's just been one amazing Trump appointment after another. I want to see if Daniela has some thoughts on that. Don't forget to follow her at Pentsac Daniela and rumble.com/Culturama. Check out her stream. What days of the week is your live stream again?
It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesday, Thursdays,
Yep.
8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep. Yes. Right? And then yep. Eastern's at the latest. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, unless we buy Greenland, which Trump wanted to do the first go around. I don't know if that's on the docket for the second Trump administration, but it should be. And then we'd have to figure out a whole other.
I mentioned at length. It might. He's been full of a lot of surprises lately, so it just might happen. You never know.
You know what? Let me ask you this before we get into the rapid fire. Here we go. I've got a fun picture here that Fox News put on the screen the other day. Where is it? My gosh, there we go. Check this out. Boom. Look at this, man. I mean, we could start here in the upper left with Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. And by the way, not be on any of these that you want to comment on. Okay. Kristi Noem, DHS. I don't know. I don't quite follow that one, but we'll see. Mike Huckabee for the ambassador to Israel. White House counsel William McGinley. A lot of these attorneys he's obviously had great relationships with in his cases. So now they're being rewarded. John Ratcliffe for CIA director. Elon Musk and Vivek.
That's the big one everyone's talking about, right?
Elon and Government Efficiency.
Oh, yeah, and I love the other one too. That was huge.
What was the other one you said?
RFK and Matt Gaetz.
Oh yeah, RFK, absolutely. Yeah, I don't even think. Yeah, he's on there. Okay, so but I love how both Eric Swalwell and Elizabeth Warren tried to call them out for, you need two people to do the job of one. That doesn't seem very efficient. Yeah, they responded, we're taking no salary. So nice try. Let's see. Tulsi Gabbard is going to be obviously as director of national intel would be the boss of say CIA, FBI, and other intelligence agencies. So that's a huge one. Susie Wiles, chief of staff. Pat Summerall's daughter, by the way, the legendary broadcaster, who we lost, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now. Him and John Madden. What a great duo. So that's interesting that Susie Wiles, I just didn't know that until she was named, that was Pat Summerall's daughter. Mike Waltz as the White House National Security Advisor. Lee Zeldin, EPA. Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Tom Homan, that's a, oh boy, the libs. They see, this is what's so great about all of this, right? You have a shocking announcement like a Tom Homan. Tom Homan is like, they're not even worried about him right now. They're more concerned about an appointment like Matt Gaetz, Right. So it's like, that's old news. That was days ago's problem, Elise Stefanik, UN ambassador, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. There's Gates as Attorney General. That'll be a fun one. RFK, HHS, Doug Burgum, Department of the Interior. Doug Collins, named today, Veterans Affairs, Congressman from Georgia, and then John Sauer, Solicitor General, and still other appointments to be filled. But wow, it's
no press.
It has been yet. A wild ride so far. Who are you looking for?
No press secretary has been announced yet.
No, but not on that screen is I forgot who it was. Just named. I won't be able to find this on the fly and it be coherent. Trump press. Let's see. He just named. I've
heard people say that it should be Alex Jones, especially considering the wars just ended. Apparently, I don't know. He could do Alex a big solid if he makes him press secretary. It'll be very entertaining as well.
Yeah. Let me check and see if anybody in the chat knows. He just made an appointment. It wasn't press secretary, but it was in that realm. So if someone wants to let me know, feel free. But anyhow, there you go. It's been interesting so far. It's going to be interesting to see where this thing ends up. Okay, So I hope. See, I've had guests on multiple times. Like, for example, this is your second visit.
Yes.
And my fear is because I just randomly sit down and I come up with these not so rapid fires. Usually it's just off the top of the head. Sometimes I'll Google like icebreaker questions. Like, oh, that's a good one. I'll mix that in there, whatever. So I have no idea if I've ever asked these same questions to the same guest multiple times. So if I have, my apologies. But have we ever talked about your favorite book, Daniela?
My favorite book? No, we have not. That's a really good question. I have it behind me here. This may not be for your audience. I'm not quite sure, but I do really like philosophy. And my favorite book as of late has been The World is Will and Representation from Arthur Schopenhauer. And I'm just being honest. This is my favorite book, mainly because this is the only philosopher that really said anything that I think is pertinent to my life. And if anyone knows Schopenhauer, he is the most pessimistic philosopher to have ever existed.
Oh, that's my cup of tea.
Yeah. So that being said, I did get the copy of Volume 1 and Volume 2 last year, read it throughout the year on and off. And this is by far my most favorite book. And I don't recommend it for the faint of heart, but I think it's the most accurate representation of what reality is. But being perfectly honest, that is my favorite book.
So I mean, that's not who we got on the cover there. That's
Arthur Schopenhauer right there.
That's him.
That's
okay.
him.
All right. Very good. Look
not
maybe
the ladies' man. By the way.
No. It almost looks like the last photograph of John Quincy Adams. You know.
They look very similar. They do. Yeah, two very.
So I don't. Ones. You might be shocked to know this, but I don't read a lot of philosophy. But I will say though, and I need to reread this because it's been over 10 years. But David Horowitz wrote a book, A Point in Time, that I just found so fascinating and so dark, but not, I don't know, just deep, maybe that's the word, just deep.
Yeah.
A Point in Time by Daniel Horowitz. Or hang on a second. See, now I work on the Blaze Network is a Daniel Horowitz. I meant to say, so I'm just, David Horowitz, the former radical on the left. So if I've been saying Daniel Horowitz, I apologize. It's David Horowitz, Keith. Okay, let's see here. What a stupid question. I write these and then I forget them, Danielle. What is your most used emoji?
Oh man, that's right. I was gonna look at my phone for that one. Honestly, it's definitely not the laughing emoji. I think the most used, to be quite honest with you, and the one I use quite frequently is either the skull emoji, like the dead emoji, like, oh, I'm dead. That's it's
so funny.
Either it's so bad, it's so funny, or I use the eyes, like the two eyes that look onto the side. Like, there's a piece of information I know that you may not know, or oh, look at this. Suspicious. I use it to denote a suspicion. So I think top of my head, those are probably the most used. Or I guess the wow emoji as well. I also use that one when someone's trying to like slide into my DMs and say something to me that I don't want to proceed with the conversation. So I'll just react with that one and just leave it.
Wait. Hold on. What is the slide into your DMs rejection emoji? What was it?
It's the wow emoji, like with the wow. You just like the big mouth open and the eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when they say something, salacious or something to grab my attention. If I don't want to proceed with the conversation, I will just use that emoji and leave it at that. I think that's.
Y'all hear that? If you ever get the wow from Daniela.
Yeah. Because I'm both acknowledging it, but I'm being clear. I don't want to proceed.
I'm not going to put forth the effort to respond right. with a coherent sentence. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this. Trying to make this emoji bigger so that I could hold it up on the screen here. I think it's this one. I think this is probably for me.
The shrug.
Shrug. Like yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, or I don't know. Like I don't know. Whatever. I probably use emojis too much, but I do the laughing one as well. I know you said you don't, but it comes in handy because it's just hard to convey the proper emotion, I guess, when you're texting. And so sometimes you lean on emojis. Some
No,
some
of
of us
course.
lean on them a little more than others. Um, okay, who would you want to play? Oh, you know what? Hold on. I typo. See, shame on me. What this should have said, and you can answer this however. This should have said, who would you want playing you? Or no, actually, no, this is right. Who would you want to play in a movie? Like a historical character is what I was thinking. But you're
Okay.
allowed to answer the other one as well, if you can think of something on the fly. But yes, who would you want to play in a movie? I was thinking someone in history or something like that, and why?
Yeah, that question I did struggle with quite a bit because I can't. You see, a lot of the historical figures that I would want to emulate are generally men, and that's the issue. Is that I don't think I would want to play a man in on film, because it would have to be some great scholar or inventor or discoverer. I did think about it though. I do really like, regardless of what people think about her work, I do really like Ayn Rand. I find her interesting personally, although I don't think I could play her very well, considering I look nothing like her. So I don't know about that, but um, if I would have to play a figure in a film like that, a historical figure, it'd probably be like some female scholar of some sort
Okay.
of that
Okay.
vein.
But are you cold and literal like Ayn Rand?
I would say so. Yeah, I would think. You don't think so?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh boy. Yeah. We'll see. But now circling back, since we're talking about Ayn Rand, that would have to go back to what's your favorite book. I would say Atlas Shrugged it was
It's
literally our blueprint as a nation until the
yeah,
last 10 days. Let's hope
yeah.
that it can be pulled out of the fire. Okay. And by the way, can we all agree that we have an answer to who is John Galt now, and it's Elon Musk? I think that's right. I mean, come on. You
Yeah, I can
laugh,
see that.
but
I can see
okay.
that. Sure.
All right. Will humans ever live on Mars?
Certainly a possibility, but
Speaking of Elon Musk.
I think it's a possibility. However, it is going to be limited to just a certain portion of society. I think perhaps obviously like the top 1%, the wealthiest people, and I probably will remain that way for the time being until it will be very many generations until we could have more of like the middle class populate Mars. I think it'll be limited to just the few.
Hmm.
But I think it's very much possible. I also don't think that I think it'll be treated like a resort almost. You know what I mean? But not in the classic sense, like you go to Mexico or anything. Obviously, it'll be much of a different experience, but it will be secluded to just a certain amount of people, the elites of society is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
And I think it will remain that way for quite some time.
But will it ever flip, do you think, where the elites end up getting Earth all to themselves, and you
No,
cast away all of, almost like treat it like a penal colony the way Australia used to be, and all of a
no,
sudden you get isolated
I
out
don't
there?
think.
No, you think
I
it'll
don't think
always be
so.
for the rich? And
Yeah, I think it would be very difficult to do that and to make the switch, is what you're suggesting, because
Mhm.
um I mean the human population is stuck here, and to do a transition between the two I think will be incredibly difficult. And as far as the elites are aware and perceive, is that the planet Earth is already diminishing in its quality output. We have
Yeah,
climate issues, so they're
yeah.
already under the impression that the Earth is, I suppose, virtually sinking. And I certainly don't
Ah,
think that's the case, but they believe it's the case, right?
right. They believe that that's the case
Yeah.
about the Earth, and therefore they'll be the ones that want to get off of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they would look at staying here as being second class. Right. Okay. That
Exactly.
makes sense.
Exactly.
If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be? Or, a talent or something. Like, for example, maybe you already have an answer here, but the first thing I thought of was, man, I wish I had learned to play the drums at some point.
Okay, you have very technical to play the drums. Is this just
The
limited
answer,
to?
any answer you want is fine.
Okay,
Trust me. This is
because
whatever, man.
one thing I've struggled with a lot, and the first thing that came to my mind, because as someone that has worked in politics for almost a decade now, surprisingly, people come to find out I actually don't. I'm not good. How do I say this? I'm not an extrovert, and so it's really difficult for me to like go out there and to any social event and like schmooze people. And I just don't have like that populist, I don't know, sense, I guess you could say. And so one thing that I've always really envied of other people within the realm of politics is their natural extroversion and their natural way to, like communicate with people or connect with
Called being
people.
slimy.
I suppose you could say it's slimy. I don't know. Some I think do it pretty well. Ultimately, I just wish I was very social and an extrovert, because I think my life would be 10 times easier if that was the case. I had to overcome a lot of hurdles, through the other way.
So, and I didn't realize this about you. You said you've spent the last 10 years in politics. Like what exactly, in what realm?
So it included campaign work primarily. I worked for my state GOP for quite some time as well. I was a field director for them. I just stopped managing a campaign. I was managing a legislative campaign here where I live. And I worked actually for a political organization, like a lobbying organization, for like 7 years as well. But that was more throughout college. So that was more of a learning experience. But I have quite of experience in various facets and aspects of politics. And it can get, a lot of it was limited to field work though, too. And that's just super exhausting. I do not want to do that anymore. But you need to be extremely extroverted to do something like that.
Gotcha.
And I learned that myself. It wasn't natural, is what I'm trying to say. It was certainly a process.
So what job would you be terrible at?
Sales, probably.
Oh, yeah. Me, 100%.
Horrible. It's not an easy job. Like, sales is very difficult, but it's one of those things where it could be extremely rewarding if you're just like a little good at it. You know what I mean? Or you just flop. I've done sales before as like filler jobs. I've done customer service, things like that. Customer service is one thing, that's fine, but sales has been extremely difficult for me. Yeah. And if you're not okay with yourself, if you haven't accepted yourself as a person, and I've seen this happen with other salespeople, it will just ruin your life and your entire ego and identity. It's just crazy. So that one I would do well.
In the few times in my life where I've been in the realm of sales and that kind of line of work, I find myself too honest with people about a product or something, to the point where I don't care about the sale. I'm just like, it's cheaper over here at this other place.
Exactly.
Because that's me. That's what I would want someone to tell me. And my commission checks have been famously small in my stints. Really? For example, I worked briefly at Radio Shack, and it's just like, it's so bad because I didn't care at all. Okay, let's see. Oh, real quick, Nancy Mace. I know we just talked about Trump's administration. She just held a hearing on UAPs in Congress yesterday. I don't guess if it doesn't matter if you saw the hearing or not. I'm just curious, since I've got you here, and that was a big thing in the news there. Do you have any thoughts on aliens, UFOs, anything like that? Are we being visited? Do they live here? Maybe they're running the government. Any thoughts there, Danielle?
Well, I have very strange beliefs when it comes to this stuff. I don't want to scare anyone off when I say this, but I certainly do believe in aliens. Obviously, UFOs exist, and that just means an unidentified flying object. So we have certainly had that, whether they're operated by aliens or not. I did have a theory for quite some time, and it could be, I still think it's possible that aliens already do live among us. It's just a matter of, they're just already completely embedded in society and have completely assimilated. So I am under that impression. Do I have proof of that? No, it's just a thought experiment, and I have considered it. I am a Christian, so the Bible does discuss, and this is where it gets weird, but it does discuss like angels walking among us and taking the form of humans. Regardless of what you think of aliens versus angels, I think those two can kind of intertwine. Basically what I'm saying is I think there are metaphysical creatures or beings that we do not perceive that may very much possibly, because they would have the technology and the knowledge to do so already, to live among us and completely assimilate. I just don't think they're bent on harming us. A lot of people have this impression. Stephen Hawking even had the idea that if there are aliens, they would attack us and enslave us and do all these terrible things to us. But I have a completely different interpretation of that. I think that if there are aliens, they would be highly empathetic because and just have a higher knowledge, or I guess consciousness, actually. Because if you compare like humans to animals, we can be very cruel too, but we also have a higher consciousness than most animals. That I don't think animals can perceive empathy in the same way humans can. And so if there is more intelligent life, they would be even more higher on the consciousness hierarchy. And I think they would just not be as inclined to, do terrible things to us or whatever Hollywood says it is. So I think it very much is possible there are aliens and they even live among us.
Are they in our government?
Most likely.
Yeah.
If they would want to conduct experiments on us or learn about us, they most likely be in positions of power, so they could, manipulate our resources. Absolutely.
Yeah, I cannot believe, like, I have lost more little post-it notepads around here, and it's just embarrassing. But you reminded me, and I got to make a note here. Need to do, because on Thursday I do the deep dive episodes. Yesterday we talked about all the Senate seats that are up in the air, or I guess well, most of them are been decided anyway. But I do a deep dive on a topic. If you're watching this Friday live stream and you're unfamiliar, head to my X account at Keith Malinak. Here, I'll show that there, and then also on the YouTube channel. But there you go. Follow me over there. I have no idea where you're watching this, if you're on YouTube or vice versa. But anyway, yesterday we did a conversation, deep dive about all those Senate seats, the close ones. So anyway, you've just reminded me I need to do a show on the Nephilim that are mentioned in Genesis.
Yeah.
So I just made myself a note, and if anybody has any good guest ideas, send me a DM or something with a good possible guest. If I respond with just like a mind blown emoji, my mind actually might be blown by the content of your DM. I'm not Daniela. Like, if you send that to her, she's obviously just blowing it off. But no, I do need to talk to somebody, an expert of the Nephilim mentioned in Genesis. That would make a great Thursday deep dive conversation, I'm sure. Okay. Real quick, this was so sad. I saw this right before we started today. That you remember those 10,000 North Korean troops that have been sent over to help Russia fight Ukraine.
Yeah.
This article I read, it said they're not gonna return home as heroes. They're gonna return home and sent to the gulags, because these troops have now experienced life outside of North Korea. And we may be sitting here in the United States looking at Russia and going, oh, I don't want to live there. But compared to North Korea, these guys are realizing, oh my gosh, look at life in Ukraine, look at life in Russia. So, I mean, it's a no-win situation for these guys. And then the article goes on to talk about, and this is exactly what Russia did in 1945 with troops returned home from Europe, the Red Army. Oh my gosh, that's a tragic tale. Oh.
Yeah, and are these the same troops that I saw stories of them watching pornography?
Yes.
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 It's over. They're never gonna assimilate back into life again, into the family lives. It's just over for them in North Korea.
Man,
they finally got the dopamine hit that it's like a drug, really. So they got a dopamine hit they never got before. I don't even understand how they could go back to living in North Korea after all that. It was a really bad idea for them to do that.
It sure is. And honestly, I was just thinking, how tempting would it be to obviously go AWOL as one of these North Korean troops, but you're in a part of the world where you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. You can't just assimilate into the shadows. No, I am Ukrainian. I mean, cool. Good luck to those North Korean troops there. Okay. You've been talking about lately. Talk to us about just give you the floor on the right-wing bodybuilder movement that you've been talking about.
The right-wing bodybuilder movement, sure. So I quote tweeted Raw Egg Nationalist. For those that don't know, he's a really well-known Twitter account. And the right-wing bodybuilder movement is difficult to really ascertain completely, but essentially what it is that I wouldn't say it's like a formal movement. It's like an offshoot of what the right wing is becoming right now. And the right wing the many subcultures associated with the right wing is very difficult to encapsulate. It's not just one movement, right? It's multiple, it's a conglomeration of movements. But with the emergence of the new right wing, and I would say, and with the dissident right, we are seeing more of an emergence of like masculine vitalism, masculinity, interest in, and from that you have like interest in like physical health, like going to the gym. I don't know if they notice like all the memes about men going to the gym, keeping up their physical appearances. And from that, you have what Raw Egg Nationalist tweeted and said was the right-wing bodybuilder movement. And it's interesting he said that because which is a major figurehead, he's like a major figurehead within the new right wing, and then Bronze Age Pervert. I don't know if you guys are aware of who he is, but he's like a massive Twitter account. He's also a bodybuilder who is also a figurehead within the new right-wing movement. And it's interesting, a lot of these figureheads are into physical fitness. So I think that's what he meant when he tweeted that. And it's kind of like this emergence of recapturing masculinity, because obviously on the other side, the complete opposite is happening. So I think
I know what is, and that's, I think, a larger thing. It's just so, it's interesting. I don't know that I have a take other than, I never thought of that. But yes, you're right. And having RFK and the Trump administration and all the health stuff that's going to be going on there, it's only going to really continue that. That's a fascinating observation there that you made, and then obviously others have. What else I want to ask you? Something else you tweeted out. I have it up here. I'll get to it, whatever it was. Okay, so let me do this. What we need to do is I have a couple other that I want to play for you. Okay. Are you big into cars? Do you care? I mean,
I'm not the I can look at them. I can enjoy aesthetically pleasing cars. I have a Toyota Camry though. I'm not like I just have a working class car. I don't know much about cars.
I gotcha. Hey, trust me. I, of all the guys in the world, know the least about cars. I mean, maybe that's an exaggeration, but I can't fix a car, but I can diagnose it to a degree. Actually, my biggest accomplishment, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, and if I have, I'm sorry, y'all. I do appreciate you being loyal, but if you're getting repeat stories, please forgive me. But I feel like I've told this recently, where I was stepping on the gas of my Honda Accord back in the day, and it would die when I would pull out into traffic. It was dangerous as hell. And multiple times I had to pull over the emergency lane and be like, why did this thing just die? And so I got it home, and I was just looking under the hood and like, just what the hell? Like is it maybe a vacuum tube? Is something not sealed? Is it tape? Is there a hole there? And it's just not doing the good intake of the air. And I saw this little Filet-O-Fish wrapper hanging out of the air intake filter. So I was able to lift off where the air filter thing and pull this out. And that was blocking the airflow. I was so accomplished. I was like, wow, I just fixed a car. All right. So anyway, that's the best I've ever done. But the reason I ask is I watched this next video that I'm about to play, and I'm so pissed off. Like cars are just cars, right? But some cars are admittedly very beautiful. And this Lamborghini, is this, come on. Why is this real, or am I being punked? Please tell me this isn't real video of a guy who puts up this like challenge course for this Lamborghini. Is this Mr. Beast did this? Is that what this is? Hang on.
Probably.
Look at that. Oh, all right. So we got one Lamborghini. Well, he could totally afford this. Yes. Okay. So then he puts up this. All right. Look at it. Okay. So you see what's happening here. Now we're up to 1,000 pieces of duct tape. I don't like where this is going. Oh, I don't even want to do this. I don't even want. I want to stop it from happening.
Wow. Yeah, it is a Mr. Beast video.
Yeah, I
I had
see
the
this
logo at
now.
the end.
I didn't notice this until just now. Why are we doing this? Just because we can? Look at
Just
me. I
because
can
we can.
afford to destroy a Lamborghini. I mean,
Well, that's dangerous. I mean, there is someone driving the car, right?
oh, right. Fair. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like if it does crash, I guess, isn't that's a pretty big liability right there. I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't know, man. Whatever. Some things I just, sometimes I see stuff like this and I feel old when I'm just like aghast. Like, how dare you destroy a perfectly running vehicle? Anyway. Let's see here. What the, I keep remembering what I wanted to ask you, and then I keep forgetting it. This is told you I'm old. Let's see here. By the way, I asked the question earlier about our aliens and our government. I think that's your best case right there. Danny Kaye, Nancy Pelosi would definitely
Yeah.
be the prime suspect.
They're already here.
If we're sussing. Oh, by the way, Carol, you're absolutely right. Any people-pleasing traits you have are gone once you've been in sales for a while. That's true. Fine, but would you have done that, Sue? Would you have destroyed a car that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars? See, that's the point. Not doing it without a helmet. Okay. Oh, all right. So I wanted you, Daniela, to think about like things, because it take me forever to figure out all the places I've lived in my life, renting, whether apartments, renting houses, owning houses, whatever. And of all the places I've lived where people have lived before, I've only found a cool thing in one of those houses. But I'll tell you what those were here in just a moment. But I want you to see this real quick, y'all. This couple, they were knocking down some walls in their house. They're not the first owners, and they were doing some remodeling. And then when they knocked down the sheetrock, they found a wall filled with stuffed animals.
They're smuggling it.
What is that? And if you look closely here, you see it's got insulation in there. See how it's mixed in? And I think that's very important, because you know what I think this was actually? I think this was practicality. It just clicked in my mind. I don't know the backstory here, but if I went to my youngest daughter's room right now, I could fill up basically that right there. They serve the purpose of insulation. It's a way to just not have to pay for insulation and to clear out a room that's full of stuffed animals.
Is insulation very expensive, or I don't know anything about that.
I don't know. I've never, compared prices of insulation. It just, no, I don't think it's like
teddy bears.
Gold. Yeah, it's just, I think somebody was like, you know what? We got too many stuffed animals. We need insulation in this wall. Let's do this. But there's a creep factor in there. I realize they're not living, but it just, when you put plastic in front of a face, it just, I don't know. It's kind of creepy, right? I don't know. So anyway, there's that. But now this lady also, she shared a find at her house. So this is kind of cool, I think. Let's see here. Here we go. Watch this lady here.
Wait until you see what my 9-year-old just found wedged underneath our carpet. And let me show you what I mean. He is very curious, and for some reason was looking. You can see that the carpet was not done like extremely well on our steps. And he thought he saw something right here. Let me have. It's not an iPhone 15.
Yes, it is. It's an iPhone 15 from 1997.
Right, shut up, Brad.
It's from the 1900s, probably. But yeah, look at this LG. This is not anyone in our family's home. This is from the previous owner. We have only lived here 10 years. So
hang on a second. I just want to say, I actually pine for those days. Do I enjoy having a smartphone that can knock a satellite out of the sky? Of course. But I miss just having a phone.
Just it's a normal phone, like a flip phone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just
really.
Anyway, so that's kind of cool. I mean, that's cool.
You would rather have a flip phone than like a computer, like a computer in your hand.
No. Don't get me wrong. I miss that.
You just miss
But
the
I would be
nostalgia.
insane in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would lose my
Yeah.
mind as well. I don't.
Yeah.
That phone seems like it's pretty. It's a small screen, so I'm trying to see. But is it like beat up completely? It looks like it's broken, right?
Yeah, it looks like a faceplate of some sort is missing under the LG logo. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's like worthless, I guess, at this point. And that's
mm,
pretty. It's pretty cool. Obviously like someone that probably done the carpeting or previously
yeah,
lived there. It's just their
probably.
phone, but
And then lost their mind trying to find it,
that's the sad part. Is that what did they go through?
Right. And all the contacts and stuff in there,
Yep.
and they're not on a cloud anywhere.
Exactly. It's completely different back then. Once you lose it, it's gone.
It's new phone who dis
Yep.
is what that person went through. But we lived in a house in Georgia once, rented it, and this old guy who had lived there forever, may have been the only owner, honestly, probably for, let me think of this neighborhood. So the house probably 35, 40 years, maybe he probably lived in it. But anyway, and in the basement, I swear there were a dozen of, you remember how, okay, now see, even I'm almost too old to remember this time. Almost. I know you don't remember this time, but raise your hand in the chat when you technically didn't own your telephone, right? And the telephone company actually owned the phones that you had in your house. Well, this guy, I guess, whenever deregulation happened, decided he would keep all these phones or whatever. I swear there were a dozen in the basement in this house. And it was just the weirdest thing to see this row, and they were all the same beige, just regular looking standard telephones. And they were all along in the basement. They were along like the back where the cinder blocks had the gap there, and they just sat up there, kind of creep, almost like a museum. So that was what I found. And also this guy had license plates that are hanging in my garage right now. I've got to take a picture and tweet it out later. I can't think of how old the oldest one is, but it goes back a ways, and it's it's kind of a sense of pride having a license plate that's old. I don't know what it is about license plates, old license plates, but it makes me want to take them down to the old Cracker Barrel and donate them there. But not
Right,
gonna do
exactly.
Anyway, so have you ever found anything cool or old in a home, that wasn't yours?
In a home that I was potentially renting or looking to live in, no. I actually am for the first time seeking to move out. So I haven't had the experience of actually like going to a place and going in, remodeling, finding things like that. I'm sure it happens quite often though. People will end up finding one thing or another, but I personally haven't had that experience.
Well, okay. Well, be sure to share it with us whenever you knock down a wall.
Well, as soon as I move into a place and I find something extraordinary, you'll be the first that I'll message and tell.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I'll reply with like a mind blown emoji. No,
The mind blown emoji, exactly.
You know what though? I don't know. I don't know that he worked. Maybe he did work for the telephone company, Bell South. Yeah, or Southern Bell is what it used to be called, where I lived. Yeah, maybe he was an operator. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You could choose black or black. No, it's beige or black. Wait a minute, Carol. The license plates were probably from his victims. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, and that's what. Now I'm trying to think here. If maybe half of them had the little rotary, and maybe half of them had the hell. I don't know. Yeah, rotary phone. The thing about rotary phones, and again, Daniela, you'll have to allow us old folks here a moment. The thing that sucked about the rotary phone is whenever you would get a phone number, and it had a 0 in it, because for me, it's like I got to be able to get all the way back around, because if my finger slips, so help me, I've got to hang up and start over and dial the number. So when they had a 0, man, it was okay. All right. Anyway, I know you can't relate. Danielle.
No, we had a rotary phone at home when I was growing up, and I know what you mean. It was functional only for a little bit though, but I know the concept at least.
Yeah, all right, I'm just reading some great comments here. Okay. Yeah, 9s and 0s, the worst. Yes. Okay. And then the poor old people, they would get the arthritis, you know?
Yeah.
And then that would be even more difficult for them. Trust me, I don't know.
They never called
Okay.
anyone at that point.
Marty, if you had too many 9s in your number, you were just gonna die alone. Okay. Hold on a second. The dogs are making noise. What's going on over here? What are you? See, Tanner's at the age where, well, basically like me, where he has 2 steps to go up, and that's it's a backbreaker for him. Okay. What else I got here? Hang on. Oh, okay. See, I knew you liked art, and so see this right here. This is a doorstop. It's a doorstop that you're looking at.
No, it's really nice.
Somebody paid $6 for this thing in Scotland. It was a doorstop. And then somebody else said, you know what? Nah, I give you $3.2 million for it. So it's apparently it's don't make me go into who this is and all this stuff. It's just that it goes back to that whole, I want to find something in my home that's more valuable than a license plate. Why can't I ever run across a doorstop or an original copy of the Constitution at a garage sale? I don't know. Just
yeah, you would think that it would be easier to find those things. You'd actually be surprised how many valuable things can be found at like an antique store or a thrift shop. I keep hearing these stories. I did find a Barbie once that was unpackaged that was worth like a few $100s.
Huh.
So in like some thrift store. So it is possible to find that stuff. You just have to be aware, you know, and just be willing to Google and look it up.
Yeah. I mean, the coolest old thing that I own, and that this is actually my favorite book. No joke. That was too much like Joe Biden. Sorry, not a joke. It's not Atlas Shrugged. It would be The History of the United States Congress, 1775 to 1888. I read that thing from cover to cover, and it's got little excerpts from congressional speeches, so it really puts in context what was being debated for over 100 years, the early part of the country. Anyway, and I found that at like an old bookstore for like $12. And for me, it was invaluable because it was so much knowledge that it just, I mean, you talk about from the source. These are the speeches. This is the context of all of these debates and all these laws that have been passed that we maybe will read a paragraph or two in an old history book or something. But here it was just, oh my gosh, I'm such a nerd. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, I just, one of these days I want to find something cool at a garage sale. Let's see. So here's a story, since we talked about the art. See, so look, some people find stuffed animals in walls. Some people find $3.2 million doorstops, and it was a doorstop. That's okay. I gotta at least say this. I don't know who this guy was. I really don't care. But what happened was, what happened. It was at an estate or whatever. It feels like maybe like a Downton Abbey type thing or whatever, but it got lost and it ended up as a doorstop. I didn't finish this part of the story at at like an industrial park. So it was like at some like machine shop or whatever. Yeah, just put old Fred there in front of the door. It's a nice day outside. So it wasn't just like at some real estate auction or whatever. It got lost in the shuffle when they were moving everything out, and somehow ended up over at this industrial park. I don't know, but I printed up this next story again, knowing how you have your antenna goes up, right? It's fair to say when it comes to art, you understand this stuff. I do not. But I saw this story. Here's just a headline: 2,100 fakes rounded up in art forgeries bust. And I thought, whatever, And I love this. I love it when this happens. I love it when a story comes across my feed or when I'm searching for stuff to talk about on the Friday live stream, and then I know immediately, oh, my guest this week, this feels like it'd be right in their wheelhouse. And because I see this story, so I think we're gonna have completely different takes on this. I see this story, I'm like, whatever, it's a fake, it's real, whatever. You know, why is art even so expensive? Like, I just do not understand how it's got this intrinsic value. And, you know, the worst times are the more art is worth. And then it hit me, oh crap, hit print on that, because you've got Daniela on the show. I bet she'll have a take on that. Daniela, why is art so expensive? I'm such a caveman with this stuff. I just don't even care.
Yeah, well, evaluation of art, it does vary, obviously. And I think that depending on one's reputation for making the art, it would make some sense to evaluate it in a certain way, especially if it's like a famous artist. But as far as like, I don't think art has made, whether it's made by someone that's an expert or non-expert, has more value one way or the other. Perhaps you could argue, and I do believe that some art requires more skill, and so therefore it would require a higher evaluation. Like for instance, representational art, like paintings of representational items, like, or if you painted a photograph like this, right? Where it's actually representational, it's not just abstract. It takes more skill and more time and effort. Obviously, those things, I think, especially if the person's trying to make a living doing it, should be evaluated that's in a certain way. But I think all art is, in a way, inherently valuable because it's just an expression of one's ideas, and then you could argue their soul. And I have mentioned before that I think that art is the greatest evidence we do have of a human having something of a soul, or obviously an advanced psyche, because you don't see really other creatures making art in the same way that we are. I don't even think creatures have the capacity to understand what art is. I mean, you can train an elephant maybe to like paint.
I was about to say, there's an elephant at some zoo that
but
makes
do you
these
think?
things.
But do you think the elephant perceives it as like their creation? Maybe like for higher consciousness mammals, like perhaps elephants actually are very smart, or dolphins. So I would have to look at like studies. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think the creatures themselves are aware of what they're actually creating, and in fact, they could just be trained to do that. But being trained to do something versus not being trained to do something, it's completely different situation. And obviously, if people aren't good at art, that doesn't necessarily mean. I saw Carol write, she must not have a soul.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't see her comment. That's what I was thinking. Are you insinuating, Daniela, that I don't have a soul? Because
that's not what I mean. I think people have different. This is where it's going to get kind of confusing. But I think people have different expressions of themselves, and at different degrees. So I love painting. I'm not necessarily good at it, but I do love painting. I have a deeper inclination to do so. Some people just don't have a deeper inclination to get into the arts, and that's perfectly fine. That's just their expression, and their form of expression is completely different. And so that's just a matter of personality and character. So I don't think if someone's good at painting something, that means they don't have a soul. Although that's a really interesting theory, actually, now that I'm considering it. Are like less artistic people, do they have less? Should we just consider like, do people have souls?
You are saying that.
No, actually, Carol was the one that brought up that made me think about that. I didn't even consider that as a reality.
Carol, me and Carol aren't gonna be allowed into heaven because we don't like art, or we're not artsy. We don't have talent. That's it. Yeah, I would be no fun at an art gallery. I would be like, you know what I would do? Actually, I'm more interested in the placard than the piece. I want to know kind of the setting, the time frame when this was. That's more interesting to me, the history, than the visual, whatever. Okay, so now we're gonna step out of the art world into the world of boxing. Okay. Now, tonight, in fact, coming up in that clock's wrong. 5 hours. That reminds me, I need to reset this clock. Ever since the time change, man, you talk about woof. All right, so tonight on Netflix, we have a boxing match between Jake Paul, YouTuber, and Mike Tyson, who, when I was, may I ask, you don't have to answer specifically, but how old are you, Daniela?
I'm 29.
29. Okay. So what year does that put you on? 95-ish?
1995. Yeah.
95. Okay. So before you were born, long before you were born, there was this guy named Mike Tyson. You know who Mike Tyson is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. I just want to make sure. All right. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. So he is one of the most, if not the most fiercest boxer of all time. I'm being outsmarted by a clock as we speak here, as I try to set the time here. And so he's doing this boxing match on Netflix tonight at 8:00 Eastern, I believe it is. At least I hope that's right. I'll have to check that. What time is it right now? 2:05 Central. Pardon me. I realize I'll forget to do this if I don't do this right now. Okay, cool. So I fixed that there. Why is it blinking? And there we go. Okay, it's fixed. There we go. You got to get yourself one of these that has the temperature in the room as well.
Yes.
That's
It's
always
helpful.
handy. Okay, so what was I saying? So I don't watch boxing, but when I was a kid and it was on pay-per-view and somebody would pay for it, and through the cable company and invite people over, I'd go over and watch that maybe. But I couldn't tell you anything after Mike Tyson left boxing. I couldn't tell you anything. Evander Holyfield, being from Atlanta, when Evander was done, that was when. By the way, that was the famous match between Holyfield and Tyson when he bit his ear. Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear. Anyway, so tonight, two worlds collide. And you're going to get this massive brawl happening here in Dallas, Texas, where I'm located. And I have not in my entire 48 years on this planet looked forward to a boxing match anywhere close to the way I am geared up for tonight. So I don't know. Is that has that crossed into your world? And I mean that with respect. You obviously you're talking about philosophy and art and stuff. Has it permeated to the point where it's on your radar in your world?
No, I had no idea that was happening, actually.
That's awesome. Okay, well, if you got Netflix, flip over there tonight. It's a pretty big deal.
Although I did see a story where, who's a YouTuber? He's boxing again.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Yeah, I did see a story that Jake from a few weeks ago that people thought he was pregnant, like he looked pregnant. Did you see that floating around? Because he was like bulking. Yeah, there was a video of him like weightlifting. And I think I saw in passing that in the comments that he was getting ready for a boxing match. I just had no idea what it was for. But he had like a protruding belly, and people were making fun of him, saying like, "Is he pregnant?" Right? And because he legitimately looked pregnant. And I still don't, to this day, I never found out whether it was like a body suit or because he probably did it as a stunt. But other people said that he was bulking up, and sometimes when you bulk up, that's what happens with the body. Like you will just swell, the abdomen will swell. So I think like from a few weeks ago, I did see something related to the boxing match. I just had no idea it was against Mike Tyson, and everyone was making fun of Jake Paul because he looked ridiculous.
Oh wow! So
it can't be healthy. He's like completely was like getting ready for this boxing match, I think in a short amount of time, probably. But it can't be good for him.
Well, he's going to have to absorb some vicious hits from Mike Tyson. Exactly. Mike Tyson's 58 years old, but some of the training videos and the speed of his fists are something that, a lot of people will say, would you get into the ring for $1 million with Mike Tyson? Hell no, because my medical injuries are probably going to cause a lot more than that. I'll never be the same. So I would not want to be anybody in that ring. I don't care what kind of shape I'm in. Now this is going to be the most awkward segue ever. Okay. Speaking of my childhood and the fact that we were just talking about old phones, I have flagged this comment from Danny K because I am fascinated by this and I think about this often. Let me do this. How many phone numbers, do you have memorized? Okay, that's a great question. Does anybody remember the childhood phone number? Because I remember my childhood phone number, because it was mine from as far back as I can remember, until my dad got rid of his landline. So for this phone number that's in my mind was in my life for well over 30 years. And so I can remember my childhood phone number. I can remember both sets of grandparents' phone numbers. So none of these numbers are active anymore. I'm just thinking now, there's no active phone number that I have memorized, okay? Except for Carrie, my wife. That is the only phone number I have memorized. My 3 kids, I don't know. I've tried to memorize them. I cannot. I can't. So I have one phone number other than my own that I have memorized. I'm just thinking here. Yeah, literally. Those are the. So, Daniela, we used to live in a world where you had to memorize phone numbers. And I wonder how many people please put in the chat how many phone numbers you have memorized. I would love to know. Just seriously. Is it a lost art? And what is the deal? Are we so dependent on technology that our brains have just shut down that part of our ability, or is that just me?
I can't even imagine memorizing a phone number anymore. I can't. I can't remember any. I only know my number. I don't even know my parents' number. I don't know my fiance's number. I don't know anyone. I just look them up on social media and I'll call them through that, or I'll just look up my contact. My parents won't even like call me through cell phone. If I'm in a situation where I don't have contact to Messenger or Instagram chat, or even Telegram, I can't call my mom. She just won't. She doesn't even like use her phone in that way. I don't know her phone number. I don't even have her in my contacts. So if anything, I actually rely on social media now for even the closest people in my life. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like whenever I have to call somebody, I either go through recent calls or I go to the text and I hit the contact.
You hit the number, the picture. Exactly. That's what I do.
Okay. All right. So it's all right. It's not just me. It's not just because my brain doesn't work. It's just the way we are now, I guess. I don't know. But what is this, Sue? How do you have over 15 numbers? First of all, hold on. What was this one? Eric White. I can still remember 3. My parents, grandparents, best friend. Okay. But I understand that. And that's what I'm saying here. I'm just saying of active numbers that you still use today. That's what I'm wondering. But I gotta know this 15, Sue. So are you saying, Sue, are you saying that 15 phone numbers right now you have memorized? Because if they still work, because that's impressive.
She has an IQ of 140 if she remembers 15 numbers. That's
wow,
insane.
Sue's like, yeah, look at that. Yep, 15 that still work today. Okay, real quick, I go far and wide for all the news that's fit to read here. This story comes from Potato News Today, because nice. when you want potato news, your best source is obviously Potato News Today. In fact, here's the subheading of that site: no nonsense, no frills potato news stories from around the world, because Potato News Today. But the story it's AI-based robotic potato sorter improves product grading and slashes costs. In other words, jobs are being eliminated of people standing there. And who, honestly, I would never belittle any job, okay? God bless you for working, whatever the job. And I mean that sincerely. But boy, that would suck to just stand there and just watch potatoes go by on a conveyor belt all day long. And you're like, oh, that one's good. Nope, that one sucks. Get that one out of here. Ugh. So This article is about how, this robot can see if it has cracks in it or it's green or whatever is deformed. Get that thing out of here. I mean, that's a good use of technology, I think. It's just, I just wonder.
No, I would agree with that. I think for labor like that, where it's completely monotonous and obviously it has bad effects, and I'm sure you could look into it and have a study done on the human mind and see the long-term effects of doing a job like that long term. I'm almost certain would have negative effects psychologically. I think I've heard or read a few articles that said that if a human does like a repetitive job over and over again that they have no intellectual stimulation, it will actually decline in health and they have a greater potential to develop something like Alzheimer's. So
no.
that's what I've heard. Yeah. So especially if the job doesn't require any sort of memory or any intellectual stimulation or development. So like I think jobs for that like that AI makes sense, but I still think we need to be selective in how we apply that because again, job is a job, right?
Yeah, right. And so I have that story from what was it? Potato News Today. But then I have this one where somebody is basically talking about how within 10 years, ChatGPT will be smarter than any human on Earth within 10 years. That's a little terrifying.
Yeah, it depends what they mean by smart.
Well, how do you we got to keep the AI focused on the potato conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Don't try to figure us out. Now, however, AI is going to pass us because we just talked about how the human brain can't remember phone numbers. It's just terrifying. Right?
Well, because the human brain is focused on other things like technology. When it says smart, that's my question is like, what do they consider smart? Because memory recall is definitely an aspect of intelligence, but that's not the only thing that I think defines intelligence. Like I have really bad memory recall actually.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm extremely inquisitive. So I think that's what makes me smart. And I think that's what makes the average human smart is inquisitiveness. Interest of the unknown. I don't know if technology or AI has that potential even. I mean, it's not conscious. So it just depends on how we define. This is why I think conversations on what consciousness is very important moving forward in science, like and in technology, because we are going to reach a point where we are going to have technology surpass us in memory recall, right? And well, it already does, I would say. But so we have to contend with that. But we have to be, as humans, we have to actually define what intelligence is, and not only that, but what consciousness is. And because if we don't, we're kind of screwed in terms of technology. We have really no means to surpass technology and our capabilities because we can't, right? But if we say like, look, humans, we do have souls, for example, right? That makes us superior to technology because technology doesn't have that. But are we there at the point to acknowledge that in science? I'm not quite sure. I think we are reaching that point, but it'll take some time. And that's going to lead into conversations about religion and spirituality that I don't even know people are ready to have.
Well, I have something for you on that front, as a matter of fact. But before I get to that, and I'm not being flippant when I say this, and people know how sarcastic I am, whatever. I'm not when I say this. There are people in our society. We see them on social media. I just think of the reaction to election results or fill in the blank. Just I almost said depending on the topic. I may not even be able to put that qualifier in there. I would almost be willing to roll the dice with AI on fill in the blank than a lot of the people that I see on social media, as far as because you just you stated that human beings have a consciousness, right? Or I forgot the word you used, but something that AI doesn't possess, this innate human ability to reason out and maybe it's what makes us human. AI doesn't have that. The ability, I guess, to empathize. I think this word you used. Human beings are very quickly losing the ability to empathize, and I wouldn't be surprised if AI at some point gets there. Where humans are going this way, AI might be going this way. I don't know. All of it's over my head, regardless. But it's just fascinating to look at some of the people that we share this planet with and think, yeah, I'm gonna take my chances with AI on this one. I don't know.
Yeah, having a robot overlord is probably more preferable than some other people. I would agree with that. Some people are just intolerable no matter what you do.
Thank you. right? At least with AI, you know you're dealing with black and white.
Right.
I don't know. So I've got this story from Business Insider. The headline is AI chatbots are the new priest, and it talks about how the Episcopal Church has developed this AI chatbot through ChatGPT, and they basically they've put in their doctrine to kind of make it. It uses the word translate in quotes, but basically makes it more relatable, the language of so I don't think it's not changing the doctrine necessarily. It's just kind of spitting out answers in more modern form, I guess is the way to say it. But in this article, it brings up something we've actually discussed I don't know 6-8 months back. A priest, an AI priest. So basically it just says Kathy is far from the only faith-based bot. Many denominations are experimenting with generative AI. The Text with Jesus, BuddhaBot, Chat Eli, it goes on. Quran GPT, blah, blah, blah. So artificial intelligence has been a boon for religious scholarship, especially in helping to accelerate translations of ancient texts. But using AI for ministerial work is far more treacherous. In April, the Catholic evangelization group Catholic Answers defrocked its clerical chatbot, Father Justin, after users noticed the digital priest was giving nonsensical answers, such as suggesting Gatorade could be used as a baptismal font. The chatbot was re-released soon after as JustinBot, a lay theologian. So, on the one hand, it's kind of cool to have Kathy giving you relatable language answers to your faith. On the other hand, you risk it going rogue the way Father Justin did. And it's almost like this is dangerous. You could be rewriting without you realizing it your faith's tenets. This is this is dangerous.
Yeah, no, that's really concerning because, like I had said, that AI, it's completely devoid of consciousness in the same way humans have, and so for us to inject that into spiritual matters or religious matters seems really strange to me. It almost seems intuitively I recoil at it. But I'm trying to figure out and reason why that would be, because again, I do understand the necessity of, like, if you do want to develop your spirituality, but you need to talk to someone and you may not have someone available, you may need to interact with an AI language model, and that's fine, I guess. Perhaps same way with like needing a psychologist. But if you truly want to develop your spirituality, I think it's actually antithetical to truly developing it if you do it through technological means like that, because something like religion and spirituality, it's inherently human. I mean, the entire concept is built around developing or even discovering your consciousness, right? So it seems intuitively antithetical, and I think it would destroy the entire concept of religion if you would do that. Because I don't know. I'm split on that. I can see how it would supplement the experience, but at the same time, I would see how it would destroy it. I don't think it makes me feel very weird. I don't like it. It's like if you do need a psychologist and you need to talk about your issues and you just have an AI prompt, maybe it would work for basic, basic everyday bad thing happen issues, right? But what about if a person has like actual severe depression? Would they get anything out of talking to an AI language model? I highly doubt that. I think you would need some human interaction with that. So it seems very strange that they would even consider that.
Yeah, no, it almost feels like a certain, I won't say coldness, but you're talking, like if I ask Grok something on X, I realize I am talking to, it's, what I use it for? It's almost like a more thorough, in my experience, a more thorough version of Google. And I'm like, okay, so I look at Grok as a search engine, honestly. But I could see where maybe we just get so comfortable as a society with AI that all of a sudden now, you know what? Now I'll ask some Bible questions here. Oh yeah, that's good. and before you know it, you're so comfortable with it that it just becomes second nature. Because I mean, I hate to admit it, but I Google verb so much stuff that
True.
I don't. I mean, there's not a spiritual connection there, but it's just like some of this stuff, some of this technology becomes so second nature. Whereas, and I famously talked about I don't even know why I picked that word. I have said on Pat Gray Unleashed. I guess it's famous around the office. Keith is the jerk that used to read the terms and conditions, because I was very it was about 15 years ago. I had a DirecTV app on my phone, and it wanted access to my microphone, and I was like, what the hell? I'm not giving you access to my microphone, because it was so ambiguous. It could tap in at any point, the way I looked at it. So I just lost the ability to record on my DVD from my phone, which would have been a cool feature to have, right? So
Yeah.
so now today I'm at the point where whatever, I just need this app. Let's go. Whatever. I don't do it anymore. And so I've gotten comfortable to the point, or maybe I'm just lazy. I mean, that's always an option there. But it's just like we become like, we can have these conversations now and talk about, be aghast at AI's involvement with religion. But 20, 30 years from now, if we have this conversation, it could be completely different, because by then we could be so comfortable as a society that everything's technologically based, and it's almost like people don't even go to church anymore. Well, maybe that's already the case, but it's like we just, what, if I want some spirituality, I'll just I'll go to my old AI priest and type in. Tell me, give me a homily on fill in the blank. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, yeah, what you're describing, it's true through enough exposure. I think the concept is called the hedonistic treadmill, if I'm correct, where like if you get exposed to a certain amount of technology and luxuries, that you're just kind of used to it, and looking back, it's different. But I would agree with you actually in some part. So I'm kind of reconsidering now what I've said, because like on the one hand, I can see where like practically speaking, it would be useful. Like you mentioned the Google situation where you want to look something up, you Google it. And I'm by no means against the notion that God, if people believe in God here that are watching, would utilize those things to speak to you. You can use anything to get God to speak to you, I'm sure. Almost anything. But that being said, it is also important to understand that AI specifically is just a projection, or like not projection, it's a reflection of who you are. Mm-hmm. So especially with certain language models, because I remember I used to like write to chatbots, and they will just absorb your language and absorb your verbiage and use it right back at you. So if anything, that's what I think we have to be aware of. And the only issue with using AI and technology like that is that eventually we will become more isolated within ourselves, I think.
Sure.
Because not, be exposed to newer, not just experiences, but more so even uncomfortable situations, right? Or with conflictual relationships, or with conflictual people, where we are exposed to kind of like where we have to develop problem solving skills, right? That AI, I think, is designed to offset that. And so that would be my only issue with that, especially as it pertains to spirituality, because maybe if you want to look up a verse or a homily or whatever, that's the case, that's different. But if you're trying to find answers to big questions, I just don't know if that's even useful, because the AI model would just reflect what it has been told or what you have already been telling it. So it seems almost circular, if that makes sense, like in the information that's being fed, and then it's being fed back into you rather than being exposed to new external experiences.
No, honestly, you say, you talk about, just communicating with the AI, and it's, spitting back, basically regurgitating information that it has. And this is what one of the below the radar, I think, from my standpoint, one of the really important aspects of the election results is, yes, we can talk about the importance of upholding the Constitution. We can talk about lawfare. We can talk about, fill in the blank. So many things were on the line from my point of view. But one thing that I think that it doesn't get enough play is who's going to control the future of AI. And if you'll recall, one of the jobs for Vice President Harris was like the AI czar or whatever,
Mhm.
and she made it clear that we got to basically get out in front of this and control it and make sure that the right information is getting in there into the system there. And I don't know if you can hear this right now, but my dog is real and he's whining. Hang on, I want to finish that thought. Hang on. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay. I didn't realize that the door got closed and he doesn't have an opposable thumb, and you know the whole story there. Okay, so and that's the danger in giving the government, any government, access. Why are you the ones charged with dumping the information into the machine? Screw that. I don't want any administration in charge of that. So I was grateful that the election, at least for whatever. I mean, we could do this all day talking about government intervention and where do you draw the line. But that was something that I don't think got enough attention a couple of years back when she said, and you could even see, maybe a completely separate thing. You could see that I forgot which app it was, which chat bot it was, but the answers on climate change, I mean, 6 months later removed, were completely different. It went from let's have a conversation to now we're doing the damn almost the little disclaimer that you will see on like YouTube videos or something, like, oh gosh, they've gotten to the AI. So very dangerous.
Issue, yeah.
Right.
No, they can completely change the narrative, and that's another big danger that people have to be aware of. And that's why when people talk about having the brain implants from what was it from Elon? He had this
Neuralink.
Thank you. Yeah, and consider, depending on what you think about Elon or his tech or his products, that's one where that's neither here nor there. Maybe I'll trust Elon more than someone else, but still, regardless, I don't necessarily recoil at the thought of putting something in my body or my brain. It's more so the fact that they can change the narrative, and you don't know what they have access to once you permanently have this on you, right? And we are already, unfortunately, so dependent on technology, and if anything, just like Google, even search engine technology, we're so heavily dependent on it. Not enough people even can go to a library and find something anymore, right? So I don't know if they've done that on purpose, but we are at a point where we even if you don't have something in your body or in your brain, you're still so dependent of it that divorcing ourselves from it would be incredibly difficult to do. And they already changed the narrative through those technologies. So I don't know. It's quite concerning.
It sure is. And I'm not asking anyone to trust Elon Musk, but I'll tell you this: I will trust Elon Musk 100 times out of 100 to the government 0 times out of 100 when given the choice there. One last thing I'll say is, if anybody is familiar with the TV show Travelers, it's worth a watch, I would say. But the premise is time travelers from the future are coming back to our time to kind of save humanity. And I won't give you too much more than that, but they are taking orders from AI. And it doesn't feel, I guarantee you, I watched it about 3 years ago. I bet if I watched it again today, the 3 seasons or whatever it is, it would be even much more believable. It was believable enough then. Now, just the rapid advancement that we've had in AI technology, now it's completely plausible. It's kind of like Idiocracy,
Yes,
15 years ago. I was like, oh, what a crazy future too. Oh my gosh, actually, we're worse off than that.
Literally, now. Yeah. I was just about to talk about Idiocracy. I just recently watched it a few months ago for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is real.
Honestly, Daniela, I think when I watched it shortly after it came out, big Mike Judge fan.
Same.
Hats off to Beavis and Butthead. It used to be, we could totally be there, to, oh crap, we're there, to actually it's better off in that timeline than it is here. And that's what I would have held that opinion up until a week and a half ago. Now it feels like our timeline is switched, and I don't know who I should thank, Doctor Strange or Loki, but we ended up somewhere completely different. Okay. I want to ask you about another thing you've been talking about is talk to us about college, men, women,
Mhm.
college, please.
Yeah. Well, I talk quite a bit about college on my Twitter and Substack and so forth, but college, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but Trump talking about how he wants to upend the accreditation system in the United States and he wants to change it.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't hear this.
he made an announcement a couple days ago where he, and I don't know all the exact details of it, but basically he wants to change the accreditation system where they have to, for all colleges in the United States, where they have to include certain items in their curriculum, in, for example, like teaching about the benefits of Western civilization and others. But in order for them to be accredited fully, and that's for all U.S. colleges, which is huge. And I really hope that he will actually go through with it because that would be a massive game changer for.
Yeah.
Because if you think, because I would love to teach in higher academia. I am naturally academic, but I'm also right wing, and I have a history of working in right wing circles, right? So my potential to work in these fields would be extremely difficult. But if Trump actually goes through with this policy, it could completely change the entire atmosphere of academia in the United States, and you would see more conservative thinkers, perhaps, have their way in academia once again. So that would be great. But
Yeah.
but my idea is that, and I think a lot of people would agree with me that are watching, that higher education colleges in the United States have greatly contributed to kind of like the woke mind virus happening. It's not the sole contributor, but it's a big part of it, right? And the last couple of generations have went to school, been indoctrinated, come out with these ideas. And I went to a very leftist college, so I would understand this. Thankfully, I didn't change my worldview, but I saw how it affected people, and I see what they teach, and I went through a political science department, so a lot of sociology there as well. So I got like the worst of it, right? But no, there's a lot of indoctrination that happens, and I have my own various theories on why that is. I think that also a lot of people would agree that with the DEI concept, where we're trying to, or affirmative action, where we are trying to get in certain populations and demographics in school where they just simply don't belong there. One of those demographics is women, and I think that's the main contributor. And I know that's ironic and funny coming from me, but I feel like I can say it because I'm a woman. But if you look at like the statistics of women, and I made a tweet about it just the other day. I don't remember the exact numbers on top of my head, but I know I believe it's 57% of women attain bachelor's, and like 52% attain masters, and even doctorates and PhDs. Women are still outnumber men, and are the majority. So academia is women's work now, and it's becoming women's work. I believe 6 out of the 8 Ivy League presidents are female. That may have changed with Harvard when she was found plagiarizing. So that may have changed. But regardless, the introduction of women within academia isn't necessarily bad. I'm not saying women don't belong in college. I just don't think, and this isn't just with women, this is with men too. I don't think the majority of people do belong in higher education and academia. But with the universalization of education in the United States, we are basically teaching as young as as early in their life, like as young as they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, that you have to go to college to have a fulfilling lifestyle, and have the lifestyle you want, which is just simply not true. That's how it seems like the job market is built. And it's unfortunate because you need a college education to get any decent job or decent pay. And it shouldn't have to be that way, right? But what I'm trying to say is that I think colleges should be for people that are just naturally built for that. And a majority of people, I would say perhaps 60% of people, men and women, just don't do well in college, right? And specifically with women, it seems though the reason why I focus on women in college is because women have a naturally different tendency to compete with other people. And I write about this extensively. But I won't get into the details of it. But basically, what we have seen is with the introduction of women in colleges and taking up these leadership roles in colleges and teaching roles in colleges, you kind of see this decline in discovery and decline in innovation and debate, even spirited debate. And you're seeing more of the introduction of postmodernism and critical theory, because women are extremely critical and deconstructive, I believe, and from what I've seen and experienced. And I think that's another reason why certain philosophies like that have proliferated within college. And I think that just completely dilutes the quality of education altogether in the United States. But thankfully, I think people are starting to see that. Trump himself understands that, and I think that's the reason why he did propose that policy 2 days ago. So I just hope he follows through with it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's almost like, and I did not see that. I'm just going off what you told me. It almost seems like he is turning the governmental, the machine that is the federal government, against the way it's been for decades now. As far as if you are connected to the federal government whatsoever, and you're an institution of higher learning, you will do what we say. If you have one scholarship that flows into your university, you're going to do everything we say. You're going to follow all of our guidelines. That's what makes Hillsdale College so unique, is that they make sure that they are not connected to the federal government whatsoever. Not going to take any dollars, not going to do any federal grants, not going to do any of these nothing. And so that's the way they can stay out of it. It almost sounds like, based on what you're telling us here, that if I'm understanding correctly, Trump is saying, if you want all of the benefits that come with from the federal government, then you're going to do what we say, and we're going to make sure that you're teaching Western civilization and that America doesn't suck. And we're almost going to, it's almost like, if I'm understanding that, it's almost like, and Daily Caller did a brief little 2-minute thing on this last week. And I think it could be expounded out probably to a half an hour, but this alternate universe where they let Trump win in 2020, they don't do the chicanery that puts Joe Biden into office, and maybe a second Trump term from 2021 through 2024 is just, it's a term. Nothing special. It's just it's a good Republican term at best. Instead, you got 4 years of a guy that they tried to make his life a living hell. Hell, they tried to kill him multiple times. They tried to put him behind bars. They just tried to destroy him. And instead, that was 4 years of plotting and surrounding himself by very intelligent people who think outside the box. That was 4 years of stewing, of how am I going to, when I get back in there, going to actually make my, and I'm going to use the word, he doesn't have to, I'm going to make my enemies, or enemies of America, who in many cases are deeply entrenched inside our government, how am I going to make them miserable? And this sounds like what you just expressed sounds like one of those ways that he can use the machine for good, and so it's almost like it feels like he's taking the machine that is the federal government. I hope this is accurate. Let me see if I can make this analogy without sounding like weird a chatbot priest here. Okay. Let's say that the demons in our government are lapping up at the trough of the federal government. This is going to be a tortured analogy, y'all. And instead, Trump's going to get in there, and on January 20th, turns that trough into holy water and pours it on the demons. And I don't know. I'm thinking on the fly, y'all. Real quick, I want to ask you this. Can you show me let's see, what languages do you speak? Can you?
I speak English. Russian was my first language, although I'm not as fluent in it as I used to be.
Okay, so what's this all about?
Yeah, so that's actually an article that was published in Valete magazine, and that is a Brazilian magazine. It's a political magazine, and that's in Portuguese. And I posted that because I saw someone read it, and it came up on my Twitter feed, and I noticed it was Portuguese. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I looked, and that's my article, right? So I just retweeted it. It's my article, but it's been translated. Yeah,
it's been translated, but it's obviously it's a picture of an article, so it's not like you can just copy and paste it. But
right.
Are you sure they translated it correctly?
I don't know. Okay. I would hope so.
Right.
I trust them. But
by the way, yeah.
So, yeah, but no, this magazine I'm just thankful to be in because it's like their only libertarian movement and magazine in Brazil, and that's
Okay.
pretty big. So I was just honored to be mentioned in there. That's my second article with them, actually.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
Mm.
All right. Real quick, I wanted to let everyone know that I read this story about a study. They're trying to figure out. I don't know how do I word this. Sharks. They think that they just see shadows, and shapes or whatever. That's why they attack people
Mhm.
on, surfboards or something, thinking they're seals because they have bad eyesight. Well, anyway, just so y'all know, they've just discovered off of a study that was done off the coast of South Africa. They have realized that the brighter the lights you put on an object, such as a boogie board or something like that, underneath, right, the sharks stay away.
Oh, okay.
So they used LED lights on the bottom. I was just fascinated by this. I mean, this show is all about the non sequitur. So thank you all
Yeah.
for just. I don't know where else to get this kind of information out. But anyway, so you're gonna love this because it sounds so simple, yet we figure out a way to complicate this. So I want everybody listening to this story, you figure out how to do this, because $1 million idea. If you open up a surf shop, in Long Beach or South Beach or wherever the hell. Anyway, so they said, hey, look, when we put LED lights all over the bottom of the surfboard, the sharks stay away. Then they thought, okay, that's awesome. How do we keep that battery charged? Because you can't put like a battery pack on these surfboards and stuff, and
Right.
it's not practical in that sense. So I'm just giving you guys $1 million idea. If you can figure out a surfboard that can house a battery pack in it and have LED lights underneath it, keep the sharks away. $1 million idea. You're welcome. Just throwing it out there in the universe.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Also, real quick, did y'all see this? And talking about government being too big, this pisses me off. This, but some of the greatest innovations have come from people outsmarting the government and outsmarting regulations and workarounds. And look at that. That right there is a plan for a 4,000 foot long building, because see, it's all connected. I call it the croquet, queue or whatever you want to call it. So we call it the croquet building. But anyway, this is a plan for a building in Manhattan to get around regulations. I just some stupid regulations, but I wanted to. I guess I can find this here. So it's been designed this way to find a clever cost solution to strict planning laws. Because the taller the skyscraper is, the more expensive it is. So curving it provides a nice loophole, no pun intended. So I would love to see this being built, just because first of all, I love it whenever you can stick it to the man and their stupid regulations. But it actually, I think that looks cool.
Is that a skyscraper though?
Well,
So
no,
it's one skyscraper.
It's one building, so it's yes, it's a skyscraper, and it's gonna actually. Hold on, listen to this. It would actually be 1,000 feet longer than the Burj Khalifa, but I mean it's not standing straight up. You see, so anyway, I don't know. I would just love to.
That would have like offices inside still. So
yeah, I think it's let's see here.
It's interesting.
I will say that it'll stand 200 feet taller than One World Trade Center, the Freedom Tower. And let's see, zoning rules. It's called the Big Bend. That's what it's called, the Big Bend. Let's see here. But what was the question you just asked?
It would be like, it's just offices. It's not, because at first I thought it was just like a display, but it would be used. Okay.
No. It's an actual building. Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out. Somewhere in this article it does say what it was used for, or what it would be used for. I can't remember though for some reason. Anyway, I just think it would be your typical office building. But let me do the. You know what? Hold on. Look at this. Look at this. So as it stands along like New York City buildings, this is a comparison. So there. Oh, hang on, I can't see. I'm on the wrong screen here. Let me get this off. Okay, so there's the Big Bend
Mhm.
next to the World Trade Center, next to the Empire State Building. It's slightly taller, I would
Yeah,
say.
just a bit.
Look at that thing. So anyway, there you go. That'd be cool to follow the path there. One more story here. Hasbro has just created a Monopoly board crawl. It's a drinking game. So like the title deed to the dance floor is like it might be prime real estate as opposed to Park Place or something. Like and so then it says like the card they have displayed here, it says have a dance battle with the property owner to a song of their choice. Everyone else votes on the winner and they get this title deed. I think that there are cards that have you take shots and whatnot, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, drinking or sipping your beverage of choice, collecting properties through a series of lighthearted challenges and dares. So anyway, it's called the Monopoly Board Crawl. Look for it under your Christmas tree this holiday season. But I just think it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, why did they change it? Is it just to be more funny?
Yeah, I think it's just a separate game. They're not replacing the classic Monopoly game.
Okay.
It's just a different version of it. Yeah. So there you go.
But instead of like actually buying anything, you just dance for it.
Something that and drink. But listen to this. The sentence here from the story. The game is designed for 2 to 10 players, and it also only takes about 30 minutes to play.
Oh, okay.
Making it a quick option for those who don't want to commit to a marathon game session like that 3-day heated battle you had with your roommates in college. So there you go. It's the Monopoly drinking game. Board crawl. Monopoly
okay.
board crawl. Okay, so what can we expect every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. 765 5 p.m. Pacific. Did I get that?
Yeah,
right?
I struggle all the time. It's 5 Pacific, 7 Central. It starts at 5 Pacific, 7 Central, and then that would be 8 Eastern.
Yeah, 8 Eastern. Yeah, and it's 4 o'clock in Alaska. I think it's 3 o'clock in Hawaii, and if you're in Guam, it's actually tomorrow morning. For real. So anyway, there you go. So you head to rumble.com/culturama. And don't forget to follow Daniela on Twitter at Pintsack Daniela. All that's on the screen there.
And I post all the updates for the show on my Twitter too. That's also an easy way to follow.
Very good, very good. And this is all a part of Austin Peterson. His network
in the For Liberty Network.
For Liberty Network. Do you already know, because you do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays, do you know what's coming up next week, or too soon to know?
It's really too soon, because what I try to do is I try to take the most relevant news that does come up, and I will literally do it. Like I'll set up to schedule the night before, or sometimes the day of, because I do want to talk about relevant topics. Sometimes if there's a big topic from the previous week that I just didn't get to, I'll touch on it. But I will be having a guest on. I try to have guests on every Thursday for interviews. And just yesterday, I had What If Alt History. He's a YouTuber. He has like almost 1 million subscribers. And we talked about really the future of the United States and a potential for civil war, because that's what he has talked about quite frequently on his YouTube page. So I talked about that. And really, we talk about like any big brain issues on the show. The show's really heavy on statistics, politics, culture, and just social issues. So anyone that will be interested can tune in. But it's really difficult to say what I'll be talking about, because it really is trying to be as relevant as possible.
No, I understand completely. Tell everybody what they can, what you just talked about, if they want to go catch up on last night's episode while I run across the room and grab something here. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. No problem. So yesterday's episode, like I mentioned, I had What If Alt History on. He is a history and political YouTuber, and then we had a great conversation there. And I also talked about the 4B movement. I don't know if anyone's been aware of this, but there's a lot of leftist women that are choosing, it's like a movement from South Korea, but they're choosing not to sleep with men. So I talked about that quite extensively last night, because I thought it was really important. And it's going to affect the dating market even more so than it has already been quite affected already by like the manosphere and all this. So, and dating apps. So I talk about like, really like socially relevant issues. And since I saw the 4B movement proliferating, I just had to talk about that since Trump's win. It's just ridiculous.
4B movement is so stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So be sure to get over to rumble.com/Culturama and watch Daniela's stuff. I will say that if you missed yesterday's deep dive, it's available at youtube.com/@themic. Or also, I bookmarked this episode will be there, as well as all other Friday live streams and all the Thursday live streams bookmarked and pinned to the top of my Twitter page at Keith Malinak. Be sure to go there, because I mean, if you've missed something, they're all I treat it as a library, that pinned tweet. So I'm always adding to it after every Thursday and Friday live stream. Give me 5 minutes and I'll get this episode up as well. But so yesterday we talked about all the Senate seats, the controversies going on with those close elections around the country, still unsettled in Pennsylvania, for example. Next Thursday, we're going to talk about the Founding Fathers with Matt Clark. That's going to be fun at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then next Friday, I'm looking here. Oh, Travis and Dom. I've done a Friday live stream with them before. And they will be back here for that. So until then, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Be sure to check out Daniela's stuff. And thanks as always. I really appreciate everybody hanging out here as always. And just enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. And I guess that's it. I'm hungry. I got to go get some food. Bye. See you later. Thanks, Daniela.
Bye.